This is CNN Breaking News.
Hello and welcome to Connect the World. I'm Lynda Kinkade in Atlanta. We begin with breaking news. Hurricane Dorian is now beginning to make landfall in the Bahamas as a very powerful Category 5 storm, the highest level, and it's getting stronger. Dorian is one of the most powerful hurricanes to hit the islands in years, the strongest storm anywhere on the planet in 2019. Well, the Bahamas are already feeling the wind and the rain from Dorian, and it's only going to get worse as the hurricane stalls over the islands for most, if not all, of Sunday. But where it goes to from there remains uncertain. The latest forecasts expect the hurricane to charge towards Florida and ride along the coast of the southeastern United States over the coming days. Well, CNN is on the ground ready for wherever this storm hits next. Patrick Oppman is in Freeport on Grand Bahama Island. Good to have you with us, Patrick. This, of course, is the strongest hurricane on the planet this year. As I mentioned, Category 5. How are things looking there?
Only the second Category 5 in recorded history to hit the Bahamas. And what really is special, or in this case scary, about the Bahamas is so many of the islands are low-lying. You don't have the mountains or the hills here that you have in other parts of the Caribbean, which can help slow down and take away the power from a major hurricane like this. And because we are in such a low-lying area, when a hurricane comes and it brings 15 or 20 feet of storm surge, that just absolutely envelops, submerges an island. And many of these islands, there's 700 islands in the Bahamas, are low-lying islands where people live. So the government in the last few days has evacuated people to higher islands, and I say higher with an asterisk because where I am, Grand Bahama, is considered an island that's higher than other islands in the area, but the highest point of land here is only 30 feet high. So again, 15-foot storm surge or higher, and still much of this island is going to be underwater. The fact that this storm is progressing and we're getting some of the first bands now of that wind picking up, it's going to get so much worse than this, though. But, you know, for the people who live on the coastal parts of these islands, it would just be suicide to stay where they are. That's why the government has been imploring people to leave the coast, to leave houses that cannot withstand this kind of wind, because in the coming hours and throughout all day tomorrow, it is just going to be unimaginable. We keep using that word catastrophic, and what we're talking about is like a bomb going off. I've seen these storms before. This will be my third Category 5 storm. They are incredibly unpleasant and scary things to survive, to live through. And when you go out after it's passed, it looks like a bomb has gone off. That is what we're expecting here in the Bahamas, Lynda.
Like a bomb has gone off. That is absolutely terrifying. We spoke earlier, Patrick, and you told me you're in an apartment with people who do not want to leave, that are helping to host you there. Just explain, is there an apartment built to withstand a Category 5 storm? What are the building regulations there like?
So they say they went through Hurricane Matthew here just 3 years ago, which was a Category 4 storm, and they never lost a window, that they have hurricane shutters up, that they have windows that they say can withstand 200 miles an hour. They've been told it is a very solid building. We have a stairwell. I expect I'll be sleeping tonight with my crew of Jose Armijo and Jade Garcia, and we're ready for this as we can be. Most people in the Bahamas are not lucky. As lucky to be in a new, well-built building like we are in. Many people live here in conditions that are not much better than shacks or houses that have roofs that will fly away. So that's why they've been encouraged to go to hospitals, to go to shelters that are basically concrete bunkers and hopefully can withstand this. But anybody who says that they have hurricane-proof windows, that they have a hurricane-proof housing, you know, that there's no such thing. They've built newer structures to withstand these these winds. I don't know if there's a structure that can withstand 24 hours of Category 5 winds. I just frankly doubt that. The danger here is not just the strength of the storm, but the fact that it is moving so slowly. It may even slow down. Our weather department says the average will be 3 miles an hour progressing as it goes through the Bahamas. You know, it's basically walking through the Bahamas, but laying waste wherever it goes. And when you have a storm that just stalls out over you, it's happened to me before. I was in Hurricane Wilma in Mexico. We had a Category 4 storm that stalled out over us, and it's about the worst thing you can imagine if you're covering this thing. To be on a low-lying island is just another element of danger. So we are here in the field. We know we are in danger. We're taking that very, very seriously. At some point, we'll probably have to go inside, tonight, tomorrow, and we are prepared to do that because we're not going to risk our lives any more than we have to. But right now, it's a ways away from us. We'll be feeling the effects throughout the day, and hope to continue to report on the storm until the point we can't, and that's just part of this job. But certainly, in terms of worst case scenarios, this seems like as bad as you can imagine.
Yeah, the fact that it's going to hover over there as a Category 5 for about 24 hours is absolutely pretty scary. Do you know how many people have managed to get out, Patrick?
Managing to get out, it's very, very few. You'd have to fly out, and there are 50-seater airplanes that come in and out of here. Many people that I talked to were afraid, ironically enough, to go to Florida, where many Bahamians have relatives, because they felt the storm might go there. So, as so often happens, people would evacuate. A lot of people simply can't afford to leave and go get a hotel. So most people said they were going to hunker down. The good thing, though, is the government said they felt more people in this area were taking the storm seriously than in the past and were seeking shelter.
All right, Patrick Oppman, you take care there, you and your team, and those you're staying with. We're going to check in with you a little bit later. Thanks so much, Patrick. Well, I want to get some more information on exactly how this hurricane is tracking and bringing meteorologist Alison Chinsha. Alison, just explain how this continues to change direction. This is now a Category 5, pretty scary for those in its path.
Especially when you look at the winds, Linda. I mean, because there's really nothing around it to weaken this storm, which is why we've seen it increase so rapidly across this open water. The problem is now it's actually headed to land and will have devastating impacts not only on the Bahamas, but potentially even the United States as well. The current winds for this latest update are 285 kilometers per hour, but the gusts are in excess of 350 kilometers per hour. And you have to be concerned about the gusty winds just as well as the sustained winds. Now, it's still moving due west. It has slowed ever so slightly, now about 11 kilometers per hour. But you look at the scope, the eye wall has expanded. The storm as a whole has gotten larger, and it's still intensifying. Pressure has continued to drop over these last few hours as they're taking the measurements from the hurricane hunters that are out in the storm. The track still maintains a Category 5 storm all the way through the Bahamas. They are hoping that it begins to weaken a little bit on its approach to Florida. The question is, when does it make this sharp turn to the north? We know it will at some point, but does it do it before it makes landfall in Florida, or does it cross into Florida before you start to see that turn? Florida is not the only state at risk here. Georgia, South Carolina, as well as North Carolina are all in that cone of uncertainty to have potential impacts. We also saw at the top of the hour additional watches and warnings put out. We have hurricane warnings for portions of the Bahamas, and we also have tropical storm warnings as well as hurricane watches in effect for areas of Florida. And the tropical storm watches have since pushed a little bit farther inland as well, because we just don't know exactly when this storm will start to make that transition north. In terms of storm surge, this is going to be one of the biggest concerns for the Bahamas. You're talking about 18 to 23 feet, which is about 5 to 7 meters. But rainfall is also going to be a massive concern in these areas. You're talking about 10 to 20 feet potentially across these islands. Again, that ranges from 250 to in excess of 500 millimeters of rain, because as the storm crosses over the Bahamas, it is going to slow down. That allows it to have more time to dump a tremendous amount of rain, Linda. So there's a lot of factors at play here. Obviously, the wind is going to be a huge issue because of damage to buildings, power outages, but the rain and the storm surge are also going to be massive factors for this as well.
Absolutely. All right, good to have you giving us that update. Alison Chinchar, thank you so much. We will come back to you again soon. Thank you. Hurricane Dorian. Its dangerous winds and rains are starting to bear down on the Bahamas. I want to bring in Captain Stephen Russell. He's the director of the National Emergency Agency in the Bahamas. He's in charge of the government's response and the recovery. We were trying to get through to him earlier. We've got him on the phone now. Good to have you with us. This is a Category 5 storm, the worst possible category, bearing down on the Bahamas. How prepared are you there?
Well, we've been advising our population, and particularly northwestern the Bahamas, for the past 5 days to be prepared. We were getting predictions that we can be faced with a Category 4 or 5 storm in the area. So 5 days out, we have been encouraging persons to prepare for such a storm. Over the past 2 days, we have been trying to evacuate persons from some of our low-lying areas, particularly the Keys and the Abaco chain, as well as in Grand Bahama Island, West End and Eastern Grand Bahama. We've been asking persons to move from those low-lying areas into the interior. We are aware that it is a dangerous storm with winds of 180 miles per hour, and we can anticipate sea surge or swells up to almost 20 feet. Those are dangerous and can be destructive. That's what we've been advising our people of what may be coming their way.
Captain Stephen Russell, I understand you've just come out of a meeting with the Prime Minister there. What sort of fears does he have? Does he feel he has enough resources for people there that are going to have to pretty much hunker down for the next 24 hours as this hurricane passes over?
In terms of the resources, New Providence, the island of New Providence, we are basically clear to a certain extent. Just two of our main islands, Grand Bahama and Abaco. So once the all clear is given, all the other national resources are going to come to bear to support those communities that would have been impacted. As we speak, I have a number of our international partners who are in my office, from SEDINA, World Food Program, USAID. They are in our office in Nassau. We're strategizing as to how we can quickly get resources into those impacted communities as soon as we get the all clear from our Department of Meteorology, hopefully by Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, the latest.
This, of course, is not new for the Bahamas. Captain Stephen Russell, you had 3 consecutive years where you were battered by hurricanes. What have you learnt from those years?
Well, yes, there have been good teaching moments. So we have adopted the concept to encourage our persons to be resilient. They know what they would have gone through over the past 4 years, and we encourage them to whatever they can do to improve their condition for this particular storm or hurricane, or what may ever come for the remainder of the hurricane season. Let's be resilient, but our main focus is to save lives, minimize injuries, and to try and minimize losses and damages as best we can. But we know it's a challenge based on how strong and destructive this storm can be. It's a challenge trying to safeguard assets and resources.
It certainly is. Captain Stephen Russell, the director of the National Emergency Agency in the Bahamas. Good to have you with us as that Category 5 hurricane barrels through the Bahamas. We're going to stay across this story and bring you more when we come back. Stay with us. You're watching Connect the World. I want to go back to our top story now. And time is running out for people in the United States, state of Florida, to prepare for this hurricane. Right now, Dorian is not forecast to make landfall on the eastern U.S. coast, but tropical storm force winds are possible Monday. Landfall is not, of course, out of the question. Well, CNN's Nick Valencia is in Melbourne, Florida, which is facing mandatory evacuation orders. But first, I want to bring in Leyla Santigo in Charleston, South Carolina, which has declared a state of emergency. Leyla, the Carolinas expected to cop it. How are things going there?
Well, you know, they actually activated this morning the Emergency Operations Center here in Charleston. They also have a citizens hotline for anyone that has questions. But let me show you what you'll see if you just take a quick walk down Calhoun Street here in Charleston. This hotel actually already has flood panels ready to go, preparations that you are now actually seeing before Dorian makes its way towards the coast. And, you know, one of the things a lot of folks here talk about when you say, are you ready? They will people, a lot of them, talk about Irma, because Irma came in here, did a little bit of damage, a lot of damage actually, and they still remember that. Remember, this can be a very low-lying area here in Charleston, so something like this, something to handle the floods, is what you're seeing right now. We also know that folks have been in some of the stores getting water, getting their non-perishable goods, but really the attitude has been folks know that there is enough time for things to change, and they also still have a little bit of time to prepare, which is why I think we're starting to see what we're seeing. The mayor put out a statement yesterday indicating that very thing, that yes, things may change, but let's not wait till it's too late to make sure that we're ready, because flooding is a major concern for the city of Charleston, Lynda.
It certainly is, and change is a good point you're making there, Leyla. Just stand by for us. I want to go to Nick. Because obviously we keep hearing that the direction of this hurricane has changed. Will Florida be hit? Won't it be hit? How are people preparing there?
Just a tremendous amount of uncertainty here, and I want to show you the beach here. There's hazardous conditions, red flag warnings in effect, Lynda. In fact, just a short time ago, the lifeguards blew the whistle to try to get people out of the water. In the last 5 days since we've been on the coast here, we probably have seen, this is the most people that we've seen on the beach. A lot of them have come out to see these conditions, including Mike Jaffe and his wife Kim and their kids. Hey guys, how are you?
Hello, how's it going?
Good, good. So how has this impacted you? What kind of precautions are you guys taking?
Precautions we have taken, bought a generator this year for the first time, and I've got about 30 gallons of extra fuel, and shuttered my mother-in-law's house and my parents' home.
So there's just been so much uncertainty. You said you guys actually had to cancel your little boy's birthday party, right? You had relatives coming in or something?
Yeah, we're supposed to have family come in from Georgia, and the storm originally was coming Saturday, then Sunday, now Monday or Tuesday, so it's definitely delayed.
With the change of the track, you know, how has that impacted, like, what you guys have done the last couple of days? Like, you know, what have been sort of the things that the steps that you've taken?
Well, you know, I work for a large general contractor in town called DFI. We employ about 130 employees, and, you know, we built a 4-story hotel in Titusville that has a wood frame structure that was in the midst of construction that didn't have any tie down, and so we worked all week getting that ready just in case sheer wind came in and would knock it over. But all our job sites have been put on a hard hold now for probably at least a week.
Mike, you said you wouldn't normally be out here on the beach right now, right? But you guys came to check out the conditions. What do you see out there? You're a lifelong resident here.
Yeah, man, there's a big cause for concern. I mean, I've been around for a Cat 2 and Cat 3 hurricanes, but nothing like a Category 5. I mean, you know.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you guys. Stay safe. Happy early birthday, brother. Appreciate it. A little shy here, but maybe it's we could chalk it up to the nerves, Lynda. It's you know, this impending storm coming this way. The National Hurricane Center says yes, this is tracking off the coast, eastern coast of Florida, but they want to remind residents that they're in its path, that can change at any point, and there's still a scenario where this could make a direct landfall on Florida. That's not likely at this point, but people want to, authorities here want people to keep their guards up. Lynda?
Nick Valencia, good to have you there. Good to hear from those locals as well. Thanks so much for that. Leyla Santigo, thanks to you also in the Carolinas. Good to have you both. Well, still ahead on Connect the World, a House divided, new tensions flare in Britain's Brexit battle. Find out what the Prime Minister has been saying and which top official has stunned political observers. Plus, protesters in Hong Kong disrupt a train station, causing flight cancellations and delays at one of the world's busiest airports.